The views, thoughts, and expressions of the show are purely satire and do not reflect the host's employer or any associated parties pertaining to the hosts. This is a joke of a show. Do not take this show serious. We are idiots.
NFA's the podcast of the day. Got a cowboy and a witch and two nerds that don't play. They talking about things that make your mind afraid. No censor, they're here to slay. They ride through the airwaves, kicking up dust, covering topics that others might cuss. Get ready for all opinions, no fuss. Cowboy, witch, and nerds, you better trust.
Welcome to this season of the NFA Network. I'm your host, Ellie, and tonight we're going to be doing our first episode of a series called Girls Night, where I'm going to be hanging out with some of my friends, and we're going to be chit-chatting about some real shit and just some funny shit and just hanging out and chilling. Tonight we're joined by my best friend, Juliana. Juliana, tell the people about yourself, where you're from, how we met, all the goods.
All right. Hello. My name is and I was born in Brazil, and I was brought over when I was 3. So I have been here consecutively for
That's math.
And me and Ellie, the way that we met was in a retail store, the one Buckle at, what is it, Midwestern store?
Yeah, it was like country chic is what I used to refer to it as. All of our southern listeners are going to know what store that is. It's like known for their denim. If you wear Rock Revival or like rodeo jeans, that's probably where you get them.
Yes. So when she first walked in for an application, she was dressed head to toe in her military outfit. And I remember being like, oh my gosh, this person is applying here. She was stiff as a board and just so like mean looking, maybe because of the uniform. But I was like, I don't know if we're going to get along. I immediately judged the book by its cover. And then she got the application, whatever. So then on her first day, I was working and our manager had her folding some clothes, and she had asked her a question, and Ellie answered in like a Stitch voice. And I don't even remember what it was.
It was probably like or some shit, because I wasn't super into like doing the Stitch voice back then. Like I was just so excited that I figured out a new thing I could do.
And that was my favorite movie. I mean, it still is. So I was like, okay, we're going to get along. And we've been best friends ever since, especially after we also found out that our birthdays are a day apart. So I'm the 22nd, she's the 21st. So we hit it off.
We're quite literally the two halves of the same coin, because we're also Aries Pisces cusps, which I think is what honestly makes our relationship work so well, because we balance each other out in all the right ways. Like I'm fire, she's water, she's the calm one, and I'm the one who's just ready to bust heads at a moment's notice. Like, but yeah, it's just kind of what works for us.
Oh, she's the muscle. Show.
Yeah, you're just usually the brains behind everything. You're the more logical, like, hang on, let's think this through. Give it a second.
Definitely more on the patient side, but you got the brains, though.
No, I just be having ideas. Some of them aren't always the best ideas and usually get us into trouble, but I be having the ideas.
I help sort them out.
We like put them all in a bucket. Like, pick green ones versus red. A red one is a red flag, and we're going to put that in the Ellie's going crazy button. Wait for later.
You listen.
No, I'd be judging. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. What are you talking about? We listen and we judge with each other.
You're right.
It's just how it is.
Right.
All right. So one of the main reasons I wanted to have this segment, Girls Night, is just because I feel like for a lot of women between the ages of like 25 to 35, we all deal with a lot of the same issues, a lot of the same insecurities. We're all just trying to survive at this point, I think it's fair to say. So I just thought that this could be like a safe space just to come together and literally just hang out. So for tonight's episode, I have a list of just like fun questions that we're going to go through, get to know Juliana a little bit, and then kind of well, I'm going to actually let Juliana explain this in a minute, but we're going to do a lot of what we call traveling. Juliana, do you want to fill them in on what that is?
I would love to. So in Brazil, we have this expression that is like, so the way we say it is viajar na maionese or não viaja, don't travel. Brazilian listeners will understand. But basically, when you're getting a little too excited and you start going off on your stories or you start creating scenarios or you start overthinking, you always have that friend that's going to turn to you and be like, don't travel. Or like, you're traveling. That needs to let you know that you're getting ahead of yourself. But it's traveling in the mayonnaise. So what we love to do is travel in the mayonnaise. That is like the basis of every conversation that we have, just to keep ourselves laughing.
And entertained. That's really all it is. It's the entertainment purely based off the fact that if I don't make jokes about making up fake scenarios, my anxiety is just going to do it for me and stress Juliana out.
So we travel. We're going to be traveling in the jelly.
Yes, traveling in the jelly instead of in the mayonnaise. 2 reasons. 1, it's our names combined. And number 2 is mayonnaise. I feel like that just wouldn't be fun to travel in. I feel like it'd be much more fun to travel in like grape jelly than like mayo. At least it's sweeter.
I agree. 100%.
Right?
So come along on this trip with us.
All right. So let's get into these questions I got. Ooh, what's the strangest dream you've ever had?
Strangest dream I've ever had. The strangest dream I've ever had was when I was like, I think I was like in middle school or maybe high school. And I was like in high school and I was dreaming about being in middle school. And I would be like in class and then I'd go to the bathroom and I'd realize I'm wearing a diaper at school.
Is that like the equivalent of like, I woke up and I was in school and I didn't have pants on?
Maybe. I'm like, oh shit, this is under my jeans? Where did this come from?
Were you about to go through puberty?
I don't know. It wasn't.
Oh, wait.
All right, what's the weirdest dream you've ever had?
So it's actually a recurring dream. And I've had this dream since I was like, honestly, I think the earliest time I can remember having this dream, I was like 7. And it's always in the same house. I don't live in this house. And honestly, it kind of reminds me of a house that looks like it's from Toy Story. Like it's kind of like real, but then at the same time, it also kind of looks like computer generated. It's weird. So like it's nighttime and I'm in this room, but I'm hiding under the bed because there's aliens in my house with machetes. And all you can see is the shadows of the aliens coming through the light that's like back through the door. And you just see them with the machetes. And that is the reoccurring dream I have had since I was a wee child.
I thought you were going to say you were the monster under the bed.
Nope. I was hiding. I was in fear of my life. The aliens had come to kill me. And I think that's when my anxiety started. It's the aliens. They're going to come kill me and my family. I was so scared. All right. Next question. Ooh, when you were little, who was your celebrity?
Doug Funny.
Wait, from like the actual cartoon?
From the cartoon?
The blue guy?
The white guy.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Doug was.
Yeah,
Streeter was the blue guy.
that's where all my problems started.
Did you also like the white? Because I feel like they look the same.
He had some hair. He had 3 lines for hair.
Oh.
Okay. First off. And second off, he had a sweater vest on top of a t-shirt.
He did be wrong.
Poor choices. But man, he was my boyfriend.
You were ready to go.
I had dreams of him. Who was your celebrity crush?
Okay. So my first celebrity crush was Wolverine. But then I went down a rabbit hole of just Hugh Jackman in general because I thought he was just the sexiest man because he could sing and he could also tear people to shreds because he was in Oklahoma, the musical. Hugh Jackman. Anyway, not Wolverine, the actor that played Wolverine. Just want to make sure we're clear on that. Wolverine isn't on Broadway, unfortunately. Actually, they died with the new Deadpool Wolverine like bullshit that's going on because Hugh Jackman's got full on Broadway and Ryan Reynolds down for anything. Oh,
This is true.
the man made Christians sing Madonna's like a version, and that wasn't on my 2024 bingo card, but I like they're redoing Hoser's Take Me to Church all over again. Do you remember when like that was super big and like all the Christian kids were like singing it?
Yeah.
Being super annoying about it.
Yes.
Now they're doing it.
That's not even what that meant.
Yeah, I know. That's the funny thing. That's why it's funny. Because they're trying to make
Their parents let them?
Yeah. They all, you gotta realize in a lot of these like cultures where they're trying to find like the Jesus and everything, it's there. They're just gonna use it to their advantage. So the whole like a virgin, I can only imagine the like sex ed, air quotes people, the sex ed that's going on in those like youth groups right now. Just, you remember that song, Like a Virgin? Well, Madonna was talking about maintaining your virginity so you can be a bride for Christ. I can see it now. You can see the whole thing.
I love it. They like to travel in the jelly too. That's cool.
I'm not even traveling in the jelly. That's just fucking delusional. That is me, Lulu.
It's true. It's true. There's a fine line between being Delulu and traveling in the jelly, I suppose. But I think you need a little bit of both.
I feel like the Delulu comes in when you think it's real. Like, we realize we're making up fake scenarios.
True.
Some of these Delulus don't. And I think that's why we're not truly Delulu. That's my theory. And on that note, what's the worst thing you've ever tasted?
Like a different question.
There's not one thing that you can think of that, like, you tried
The
it.
worst thing that I've ever tasted. If you are
The worst thing I ever had in my mouth. It was not a good time.
the worst thing I've ever tasted, let's just say that if you are a man and you decide to do
I know where this is going.
You know what I mean? So, other ladies might know what I mean. You are a man. You decide to do illegal substances, certain ones, cocaine to be exact. If we're not going to be PG about it, let's be real. Ladies.
Nobody's fucking asked for this podcast. We're not PG.
That's true. All right. You can taste the cocaine when you're giving head.
Yes.
It's god awful.
Not great.
It is not great. That is one that I will never do. I already know what it tastes like going down. Obviously, I would never shove something up my nose, but like I'm all set ever since that. Okay. Everything that a man consumes comes out of the other ends. Make sure they know that. Make sure they always know that.
Pineapple. It tastes delicious and it makes everything else taste delicious. I'm still dying over here.
Did say the worst thing I've ever. I'm that tops it. That's number one.
I can imagine. Thanks, babe. We have Zog here. He's doing our live editing and producing. Oh,
And providing water when needed.
and providing everything. Oh. But my makeup is all over the place, but we're just rolling with it.
Right here. Wait, right. Clean it. A little mascara, right? I would do it for you, but I'm locked and loaded.
Yeah. I'll leave.
Lean over. Come here.
All right, I'm coming.
Right.
All right, cool. We're getting up. I mean, girls' night.
It's girls' night.
Honestly, usually what happens when I'm hanging out with her.
We're girls.
We're girls, and we laugh about everything. I honestly laugh too much when I'm with you.
We got to make sure our makeup stays on correctly.
Facts. I only know how to do makeup because of you. It's true, because I didn't know anything. So I learned how to, do eye makeup from my ex-sister-in-law, who was 14 at the time, because I had no clue. I was so sheltered and I wasn't allowed to wear makeup. I didn't know how to do anything. And then when we started hanging out, you taught me about colors and skincare and moisturizing and
It's all
of those important things.
Yes, it's all about the brushes. It's all about your tools.
It's
The
true.
tools do all the work.
It's true. And she's who picks out all of my makeup, because I just give her money and say, here, find the things. I can show you what happens.
Gotcha.
Ooh. What's something ridiculous someone has talked you into doing before?
Something ridiculous that someone has talked me into doing before. No, I feel like I've done worse.
Than this podcast? I mean, yeah, probably. I mean, we're not doing anything that's going to maim you. It's just going on the internet for the rest of the world to see. Forever.
Oh, that always makes me so nervous. That's part of the reason why I never post anything for the most part. So I never post statuses on Facebook, because I know that shit's gonna haunt me, because I'll feel really passionate about something in a moment, and I'll be like, yeah, I want to post this. I'm just gonna go in and stand on my soapbox and talk about it. And then after I think about it for a few minutes, and I'm like, nobody actually gives a fuck.
Not a single person.
So I'm just gonna keep that one to myself. The amount of times that I have done that, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to talk about this. And then I'm like, no, because later on, I'm going to feel differently about it. And then I'll regret putting that on the internet for forever.
You ever start writing a comment? You're just scrolling on Facebook or Instagram or whatever your platform of choice is, and you just see something that immediately just gets you triggered. And you're just like, what? Just why? And then so you go to comment, and then you're just like, why am I doing this? This is not worth it. They don't give a fuck about what I have to say.
Internet fights are so pointless, but you want to get in them so bad.
But I am better than them.
Exactly.
But I want to be petty. Because I know I can out shit talk them. I just don't.
But it doesn't even matter, because they can just be like, all right, cool story, bro. And then you're like,
you know, it would be a cool story or a cool movie is if there's a social media war, because you know how there's that movie Road Rage, where
I think I've heard of it.
Okay, well, there's just two people and they have this constant road rage thing going on. And in the end, they're kind of frenemies. So in the movie I'm proposing, it would be just a road rage situation, but they're just online, going back and forth, no matter what, they find each other on whatever social media platform they're on, and they're just talking shit back and forth. And then at the end, they're besties, or they get married. We can make this a rom-com.
That would be cool.
Feel
I just feel like emotions are just so, that makes me sound emotionless. Just hold on. Certain emotions are just so temporary, and I feel like anger is just one of them for me, that I just I'm like, is it worth it?
That's why she's
It's worth it. I just don't have the energy sometimes. Most times I just don't have the energy. I'm like, that's what you believe? What do you want to go with? Okay. Stay wrong. Bye.
You do be like that, though. You are the first person to be like, oh, you said that? This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, but you do you, boo. And she just leaves.
I disagree, but doesn't matter. Bye.
You perfected the art of not giving a fuck.
Honestly,
In that
it's gotten worse and worse as I've gotten older, maybe better and better.
I'd say better.
I'd say better. As I've gotten older, the fucks have been flying out the window.
I just don't have the time
They've
to get
been
fucked.
going on vacation. Unlike
Fucking nice.
so.
I have the chronic burnout because all of my fucks left. someone just gifted you $10,000 that must be spent on a vacation. Where are you going and what are you doing?
Can't leave the country.
Okay,
Go.
let's like take that off the table. Let's, aside from the fact that this country makes it difficult for anybody just to exist.
But I also just love saying that because then people are like, is she a criminal? Like, why can't she leave the country? It's just, it's like an interesting way to go about it. Like, what's the problem? What do you mean you can't leave the country? You're not allowed?
Do you want to fill the listeners in on why you can't leave the country?
No,
We're leaving you in suspense.
Yeah.
Makeup.
Maybe the next,
Get into the jelly.
yeah, maybe the next podcast, maybe the next episode will really dive into that jelly.
It's a story. All right, fucking trip.
So I would probably go to Greece is cool. Oh, Korea. I've been like,
Really on your Korean boys kick.
oh my goodness, I've been watching K-dramas. I'm one of those. I got into them and I absolutely love them. I love how corny they are. I love how cheesy they are. I love everything about them. I love the men. I love the women. I love just the culture, the way that they go about things. It's just it's very similar to like the Brazilian culture, the way that like the family aspect of it is and how close they are. I can like really relate. So I love all that. And also just the country itself, I think is just,
Yeah, I've heard it's like really pretty over there.
absolutely stunning. But the K-dramas are constantly showing all of.
I want to get a lot of Korean skin. Their skin be looking like glass, bro. Fucking glass.
Where would you go?
Honestly, I'm like tossed up between Greece and Spain. I would probably, if $10,000, I could go to both, honestly. I'm a stooge. I can make $10,000 an entire worldwide vacation for like, I don't know. It's not going to take me.
Yeah, but they said you could only go to one place. Can
Actually,
you imagine blowing 10,000 in one place with your frugal ass?
I would just buy the country at that point. I could buy that island. There's this island between Canada and France. It's like in international waters and it's constantly debated over who owns it. I don't know if that's actually still true or if that was just a lie the internet told me 20 years ago and I have chosen to believe it my entire life. However, that's where we're at. And I could buy that island.
Is that island $10,000?
It's something around there. It's not much more.
There are islands for sale off the coast of Brazil.
We should just buy an island.
In between Brazil and Africa, I think. There's like man-made.
How much of a pain in the ass do you think it would be to like buy your own island and then just like live there on your own, like independently? Because if you think about it, as a basic human, you don't need much to survive. You just have to be able to be self-sustainable and grow your own food and whatnot.
Yeah, but you also have to take into consideration that you're used to a certain lifestyle and your stomach is used to having food at a certain time all the time.
Well, yeah, but
I don't know.
But you wouldn't be working to survive at that point. You would just be surviving, like living. So obviously you would have to start off with like a decent, you'd have to like build a house first and like you'd have to like stock it with stuff. So while you figured out how to grow and like hunt for food and whatnot, you can do all that.
I mean, like everything else, it would be hard.
It would be
Everything's hard. You got to pick your hard.
The only thing I could foresee going badly is medical care. You could start a cult.
You're a clumsy ass.
Yeah, I would literally fall down a waterfall and die.
Maybe not. I feel like more like walking on the beach and then you like step on a shell
Step on a sea urchin.
and
I
then,
honestly
like
would.
get it infected or something. Or like try to jump over a rock because she saw the mail.
There would be no mailman. It would just be mail drops. Or in an island.
How do we order those mail drops without internet? Okay, so next
It's
question.
starting to sound like a terrible idea. Because I just realized I can't survive without internet. I don't know how to do basic human things.
Like I'd order it on my phone, just get a drop.
What is one product or item you never want to live without?
Item or product that I never want to live without.
Mine's chapstick.
I was thinking blush.
Yeah. You do be wearing your blush.
I love blush. I've been using a lot of blush lately.
A good look for you.
Thank
Support
you.
it. Especially with it being cold out, it gives you like a nice rosy like look.
Other than that, I just look like a sick Victorian child.
Honestly, that's a vibe. I feel you. Yeah, I just feel like I can't I can live without pretty much everything else. I immediately wanted to say my vape, but I would love to be able to quit smoking.
Forcibly.
I'm not. But I have tried like 7 times. I have tried full turkey literally 7 times, and I don't think I've made it longer than a day. I have no self-control. 0. And that's on
It's
me.
hard.
Yeah, it sucks.
I mean, I did it, but it is hard.
I'm already cranky. What is your choice for a date night? A delicious home-cooked meal by your man or fine dining out?
Delicious home-cooked meal by my man. What do you mean? We don't have to spend any money. We get comfy on the couch. We don't have to get dressed up.
That's fair.
He's got like flowers and maybe some candles, and he did the whole meal, and there's like some music playing.
That does sound delightful.
Right?
Except Tony does that for me at least once a week.
As he should.
I always choose
I
going.
don't have a man, so I don't know what that's like. So I just sit here and fantasize about basic shit.
I mean, it's pretty nice, I'm not gonna lie. They do be the little things.
It really is the little thing.
Because honestly, I could come home and he could have literally made hot dogs and mac and cheese and neatened up the couch. Not even clean, just folded a blanket. And I'm happier than pig and shit.
Consideration is the highest form of love language. I feel like highest love
That
language.
should be the 8th love language, consideration. Because there's only technically 7.
I think that should be the one and only.
Honestly.
With people nowadays, with the way that relationships go nowadays.
People
I
don't
feel
be considerate. It's so rude.
weird. Why wouldn't you think about your significant other for decisions and okay, maybe not your significant other, but your friend. I think that's also part of the problem with dating nowadays too, is I feel like we either meet up to have sex or we meet up to do an interview.
Yeah.
It's never let's just hang out as friends and kind of go with the flow and see what happens.
It's almost like it's a pressure put on it either way.
There's always there's just some sort of pressure, you're meeting with the opposite sex or whatever, the same sex, but it's under the preface of dating. And there's just always so much pressure behind it. And it's just, I don't know, dating.
That's probably part of what makes dating, especially as you're older, even more hard, because there's also a lot more societal expectations. Why are you single and you're in your late 20s or early 30s? What's wrong with you? Everybody's paired up. So I think that also adds another layer of complexity to it as well.
There's a certain stigma, but I feel
Yeah.
it's definitely hard. It's oh, here you are and you look good, but you're single for this long. You must be crazy.
What's wrong?
What's wrong with you? So then the whole time they're instead of enjoying you as a person and getting to know you as a friend, they're trying to find things that are wrong with you. And then if we could just go into it as a friend, I feel it would just be so much better. Stop trying to touch me. Would you call your guy friend out? Or if you go to meet a guy for a business proposal or whatever, you know what I mean? Are you really gonna try to touch him?
Well, I mean, if it's a gay guy, maybe. Maybe.
But I mean, why can't we all do?
Depends on what type of business they're discussing.
I guess it depends on the person too. Yeah, it depends on the person.
But I get what you're saying though.
Why do you gotta be so touchy? And why do you have to love bomb me? You don't even know me.
Yeah.
Why are you going so hard? That's always my first thing whenever I start getting love bomb right in the beginning, because then my brain is of course you love me.
I'm awesome.
I'm amazing. And every one of my friends love me. So why wouldn't you love me? But then another part of my brain is wait,
This sounds suspicious.
don't even know me, bro.
Why?
And you want to get married? The amount of guys on the first date that's let's get married. Let's not.
Excuse me.
I don't know you.
I don't even know if you wash your ass.
Pause. Exactly.
The fuck?
Right.
Oh my God, I remember
You did it for this date, but do you like do it consistently?
Yo, but some of them didn't even, like, I swear to God, when I was dating, I don't think half these men showered before they went out on dates.
Yeah.
They would be showing up like kind of, now me being me, I thought it was hot. But then looking back, I'm just like, ew.
Little effort goes a long.
My dating experiences were not fun. But I was also just that, like, I was down for whatever, so I didn't care.
My dating experiences have been developing my character.
If her character develops anymore, she's going to be a hermit in the middle of nowhere. She's going to build herself a little cabin, and I'm going to be her only touch with civilization.
Yeah. Dead ass. I'm like not even exhausting. I'm not even scared to die alone anymore. I used to be.
I'm like, you know what? That doesn't sound like a bad idea.
This ain't so bad. This is really not bad.
You men just need hiring. Maybe you should give women a try.
I'd love to.
I mean, that's fair. To each his own. All right. So, which of the following items would you choose to live without for a year if you had to pick one? Your phone, toothbrush, or fingernail clippers?
That I can't live with? Wait, what?
If you had to pick one, which one would it be? Your phone, your toothbrush, or nail clippers?
To live with for the rest of my life?
Live without.
Without?
Yeah.
The clippers.
That's what I'm saying. Nah, not even. I'll just go pay someone to do it.
Or that.
Question doesn't.
But the nails. Yeah. Oh, but the question doesn't say I can't go somewhere.
No.
Yeah, you gotta say I get the clippers. I mean, I don't mind getting rid of my phone.
I mean, honestly, I feel like if I got rid of my phone, I'd be a much happier person. But the VA would not be able to get in contact.
Right.
I would fuck.
I need it for my job, friends.
Hey.
My mental health.
What's something you're terrible at?
Planning ahead. No, I'm pretty good at planning ahead. I'm terrible at like getting things done before the due date. I have this god awful habit of just waiting until absolute the last minute. Because that's when the creative juices really get flowing, is when I'm panicking.
That's called anxiety. And there's some, like, it's called a fancy terminology, and it had something to do with object permanence. But the fact that if you could, like, when you can know you can push something off for as long as possible until it induces the anxiety to fuel getting that task done. There's a specific word for it.
Sometimes I'm good at like doing like basic stuff, but if I have to like really get creative, last minute. Is it laziness though?
No, it's procrastination and anxiety. I think for me, I don't know, I just feel like video games and anything that involves technology is just very hard for me, which sucks because I work in technology. Like, I'm not working for Google or anything, but I'm in data analytics and you know how to use software. It's shit's hard.
Yeah.
But I am so good at pattern recognition.
Me too, actually.
Yeah, you really are.
Like memorize. Like I've always been really good at those.
Mm-hmm.
I like a good pattern. That's why I like music so much.
You're also like a Sudoku person. Like you like puzzles, like that sort of thing. I don't.
That's my brain going.
They make me angry. I'm like the Hulk. If I can't figure it out, I'm just Hulk smash. When you were younger, how did you think you would meet your future significant other? Were you one of those kids that was just like fairy tale princesses?
No, I think that I just thought I'd meet him in high school and then we would just be together forever. You know, as a kid, you're like that like one and done, that first person, you know, that you just like end up with.
Yeah. And I can't say that my expectation was much more different. It was more church.
I didn't have like a specific picture of what the person looked like. Maybe like Doug Funny.
Marry someone who looked like they went. And I tried. They didn't want me.
Oh, but you got it. Tony looks like he went to prison. Come on now. Covered in tattoos.
He be looking, no.
He's a bully.
So this is how terrible my parents are. The first time I talked to them or told my parents about Tony at all, Zaga, I keep forgetting, we can't use his government.
No legal.
So Zaga, I was showing my parents a picture of Zaga, and first thing they said was, is he a terrorist? And that's when I knew right then and there. But if I chose to stay with this man, I would not be speaking to my family. And I chose my husband. So that's how that went.
She said, yes, I picked the utmost prison-looking person.
Yes.
The one that would be like in national prison. Federal prison? Federal prison. Don't come for me. I'm foreign.
Ooh, how did your parents meet? There are a lot of tell us. Okay.
My parents, so my parents are 7 years apart. My mom was 20, maybe 19. She was working at a grocery store, and my dad would go to that grocery store to buy beer. He knew exactly where the beer was, but every time he would see my mom working, he would go up to her and ask her where the beer was. And so after a certain amount of time, he finally asked her out, and then she gave him a chance, and they've been together ever since.
Every time we talk, share stories about your parents, meeting or when you were growing up, memories of your parents, they're just quintessential, they'll want to do that. Be like them.
I have had a very blessed family life growing up. I definitely am very thankful that I don't have family trauma and things like that. I have other kinds of trauma, but family at least is one that I don't have to check off my list. We're very tight knit. There's a lot of love between us. There's a lot of love in general. So we're always sharing it, and we share it with the people around us too. So we're constantly getting other people into our family and just getting everyone a part of this love.
And that's something I've noticed too. It's interesting to see that part of you grow as I've known you, because ever since I've met you, you've always been yeah, I might have been giving off straight edge bitch face, but you were definitely just as bitch face as you thought I was. So seeing how you're just this wonderful, loving, open person, and then watching how that's evolved since we've been able to bring more of your family around, and just watching you be able to rekindle those relationships, you can really tell that that's something that your family has always held dear, is being able to have those open, loving relationships with one another. And I think that that's something that a lot of people forget about when they're raising kids, is communicating that there's no judgment. We're all just here. You can come to us with anything, type of thing. Yeah,
for sure. And I mean, I have you and Zaga to thank for definitely helping us out with all of that, which we can definitely talk about on a different podcast or a different story for a different day. But yeah, I was just very blessed, and I'm so glad too that I can kind of bring that to my friends as well, because a lot of my friends that come from different backgrounds, a lot of my best friends all have different backgrounds. We're all very diverse, but at the end of the day, what we all share is the same core values and the same morals. And so that's the part that's really cool. We get to kind of learn from each other and grow from each other, from our different experiences and from our different diversities. And we're able to kind of come back to it. And at the end of the day, it's just all love. And I'm just so appreciative, not just of the family that I have, but all of my friends that I have as well, that I have surrounded myself with. And I'm glad that I can kind of bring some of the love that I received from my family to my best friends, because they didn't get that kind of love. And so I'm happy to be able to bring that kind of love to them as well. And create
a retriever we've all been looking for, to just bring sunshine and roses into our lives.
I try. I feel like, it's all about that like positivity and counting your blessings at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Like, so, like life gets hard, life sucks, and shit comes up, and just taking a second to really count your blessings and be like, I can deal with this, reevaluate, reassess the situation, and kind of have more of a positive outlook to it so that you get positive results.
Yeah. I mean, you're always too, like, that's always been something that you've been big on, is just like looking at the positive things. Because, I mean, you've been with me through all of my shit things that I've gone through in life. And each time I've come to you with like a really shit situation, or even just like normal 20-something-year-old dumbass situations, and I'm like making a mountain out of a molehill. Or like some guy broke up with me and I was like, no, why? And you're just like, well, look on the positives. We learned X, Y, and Z. Or like even now, you're just like, okay, well, on the positive side, because that's just who you are. You're just always looking to like, you don't like to dwell on shitty.
I think I get that from my mom. She definitely was like a huge influence as far as that's concerned. My dad was a little bit more on the negative side every so often, but he definitely like
The dad.
he would jump on the bandwagon with my mom. But I mean, we went through all the same emotions too. Like when I didn't have my parents here for 10 years, we leaned on each other, but we also went through all the same emotions together, and we kind of like helped each other grow out of negative situations, because we've had our negative moments. You know what I mean? We've gone through like our angsty years where we were like always talking about unaliving ourselves, or like just always living in the negative. We're living in the negative so much. And after a while of like, I do a lot of journaling. So after a while of a lot of like
Assessment.
yeah, a lot of like self-assessment and like soul searching and like self-awareness, I think is more the word I was looking for. Doing a lot of like self-aware work and being like, you know what, this isn't a good mindset to have. I'm in a bad mood. I like am constantly looking at all the negative things. Like, I can't live like this anymore. We're done. It's over.
Exhausting to stay upset all the time.
It really is. And that's the whole, like, I don't have the energy for it. I don't have the energy to be angry, and I don't have the energy to be sad anymore.
Honestly. Because it takes, and it sucks too, or it doesn't suck necessarily, but like when you're so far deep in your own bullshit and you are living in that like misery and anxiety and just depression. And don't get me wrong, I'm not making light of mental health or anxiety, depression, any of those things. We advocate for seeking treatment and getting help and doing all the things you need to. But there is something to be said about doing the work. Keep yourself out of those places. And I think that that's something we both really started helping each other do. And I think that you really kind of started initiating it, because like it got to the point, and I think during COVID was when it really started to kind of come up a lot, where it was just like, Ellie, like, you're just miserable. And granted, I had a lot going on, but like we had to figure out what was going on. And I had to start realizing that like part of it was me making a choice. And the choice was, it was easier to stay miserable than it was to work through my emotions. But in reality, if I had just let go of being miserable and just accepted that things were the way they are, I would have had a much better time processing and being able to allow myself to be more positive.
Right.
And not.
And don't get me wrong either. Like, I think that it's important to feel your feelings. Like, if you're sad, I'm not saying for you to like make a force to like get out of it. I think that it's important for you and your body to kind of like deal with those emotions, like really open up to yourself about those emotions, live in it, but like don't forget to get out of it. Give yourself, you know, like a week, maybe 2 weeks, depending on how heartbreaking it is. Maybe even give it a month, but like give it time, but then don't forget to cut off that time. Like, don't forget to be like, okay, we sat in it, we dealt with it, I rotted in bed for a whole month. It's time, like, to get going. It's time to start changing my mindset. It's time to start looking at other things. It's time to start, like, finding things that make me happy. And that's like a big thing for single girls right now, too. It's like you can't just sit around and wait for a guy to text you or like sit around staring at your Tinder, or your Hinge, or your Bumble, or whatever the fuck. And, you know, coming up with all the reasons why you suck because these men don't like you, or trying to understand why these men don't like you or these people don't like you. You need to like learn how to make yourself happy through hobbies, and then learn how to love yourself in those moments that make you happy.
And I think to a certain extent, I agree with you, but I've also kind of felt like, too, that whole idea of, I don't want to say I sort of agree with you. I do agree with you on the fact that, like, especially the older we get and the older we get while we're single, like we're saying, there's all the pressures and whatnot. And women specifically, obviously, we all have our insecurities. So when we're older and single, we're super insecure and, like you're saying, questioning why people don't like you. So there's something to be said about like not being able to find someone to love you until you love yourself. And that's where I kind of have issues with. Not so much that you need to like learn how to love yourself to find someone. You just need to learn how to love yourself for yourself. And again, it just goes back to things that aren't going to make you just sit in that misery. Because if you're comfortable with yourself, it's going to be a lot easier to be comfortable with everything else going on.
Even in your relationship, though, like not even just speaking for single people, but people in relationships, I think that it's important to not give yourself like a breakup break, but give you guys like a hobby break, or like moments where you kind of indulge in your own hobbies separate from each other, so that you can come together and have things to talk about, or like enjoy each other's company, or like whatever. Because I feel like a lot of people will also like invest themselves so much into a relationship that they like forget about themselves.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think Zaga and I we talk about this all the time, and we really do feel like that's one of the reasons our relationship is as strong as it is, and why we feel it's as strong as it is, because we both have separate lives and then we have our life together. And I'm not saying we live two different lives, but it's like we each have our own hobbies. He does his bowling and gets hurt every 5 seconds, and I do yoga and I hang out with my girls, and it's great. And so like we're able to go do these things on our own. And I feel like in past relationships where I've been in, I wasn't comfortable enough in the relationship to let them out of my sight for longer than 5 minutes, because I thought if they were having a good time, not with me, that meant that they were just going to go find somebody else to have a good time with. So it was one of those where I had to learn how to like be more confident in myself. And I will say, like, we all know I struggle with like mental health and things of that nature. So I know when I'm feeling the most insecure about myself, that's when our relationship has the most issues, because I put all of my problems, my self-reflections, my, projections of myself onto the relationship. I make up things in my head. So, and I think that's something a lot of people struggle with too, is being able to recognize when that's happening. And not so much like it's probably not your partner doing something bad. Maybe it's just you not liking yourself that day. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Because then you start nitpicking like every little thing that comes out of their mouth. And then you start to kind of be like, oh, well, what did you mean by that?
Mm-hmm. No, and it sucks.
Yeah.
Especially when you're not aware of it. You're not like, because I remember being young, and then like young, I was like 23, 24. But like being in my early 20s, and I'm just like, every time I was in a relationship with someone, I was just constantly terrified that they were just going to like, you daddy issues, whatever. But like, I do think a lot of that stemmed from the fact that I put a lot of my identity into someone, and I wasn't just comfortable with myself.
But, lucky for you, you found the right the universe presented you with the right person, and you were, like you were saying before, like you don't have to love yourself before going into a relationship, but you also need to be able to recognize while you're in that relationship, or be in a relationship with somebody who is going to communicate with you effectively so that you can both kind of grow. And it takes time. And it's not to say that like you can't have a relationship in during tough seasons of your life.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. But I think there is something to be said. And I think that's what really separates mature relationships from immature relationships, is that ability to have those tough conversations and have more mature approaches to jealousy, insecurity, just communication in general. I think that separates the toxic relationships and just the young relationships away from the ones that are actually going to last. Because at the end of the day, we're just human and we're always constantly working on who we are as people. But as long as you can both come together and recognize with each other that you are just two imperfect people, it makes it a lot easier to get through the day.
That's where that self-awareness comes in. But would you say that it is harder to kind of find that self-awareness, or like, would you say it's harder to find that self-awareness while you're in a relationship as opposed to being single and having to kind of learn it that way?
I think the only way I was able to identify it was I was in a relationship I didn't want to lose. And so I recognized that if I continued to let my mental health issues get between me and this person that I was in my relationship with, Zaga, now my husband, if I continued on the path I was going, he wasn't going to stick around, because who would? Who would stick around with somebody who's constantly angry, constantly like giving snarky remarks, when I'm not good, I'm not a fun person to be around. And I recognize that, so I don't judge, but like, I recognize that I had to fix that, or at least actively work on it if I had a snowball's chance in hell of trying to be happy in a relationship with someone. Because that wasn't going to change because I was with Zaga versus somebody else. That was strictly a me problem, and it was going to follow me no matter where I went.
Now, would you say that coming to that realization, would you say that you came to that realization because of your therapist or your friends, or like a little bit of both?
I think it was a little bit of both, but I think the biggest part of me realizing that that was an issue that I dealt with was also learning how to be able to like honestly communicate with myself what was happening in the situation. Because I personally am the type of person that if I feel any sort of attack, or if I feel like I'm being cornered in any way, I'm immediately on the defense. So I had to recognize that part first. And that part took a long time in therapy to figure out. And as soon as I figured that out, that was like the key for me working on the other parts of it.
Right. Because it's like the reason why I ask is because a lot of people do lack self-awareness.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Or they have self-awareness, but as soon as someone else walks into their life, that's a potential significant other, it like goes out the window. It's like you have good advice for your friends, but you're doing the opposite of the advice that you're giving.
That's just called being. But no, I get what you're saying. I mean, I'm guilty of that as well.
I mean, yeah, sure, it's called being a hypocrite, but like that's if you want to like put a label on it or whatever. But
we listen and we don't judge.
We listen and we don't judge, because some people, you know, it's just a little harder to learn lessons.
No, you're not wrong. And I think too, everybody learns differently as well. And you have to be open-minded to every situation. Because I do be feeling like there's a lot more sane people on this world than we think. And a lot more people that are self-aware. But
they pretend like they're not, because it's just easier that way.
Sometimes it is easier. Living in the Delulu sometimes is way easier than just being present.
Absolutely.
I feel like I learned that through yoga. Yoga helped me learn how to be present.
Yoga, therapy, girlfriends.
Honestly, those are the three biggest things. It's for like me actually in my mental health journey. Those have been the three things. And I'll tell you why yoga is on there specifically it's honestly the breathing exercises because it really does help you like center yourself.
Well, I think also just being active.
Oh, yeah.
Just being active takes your mind off of other things because you're so focused on not puking.
Or falling over. It's usually what it is in my case. I be doing the most in yoga. I be trying to do headstands. I got no business doing a headstand. My neck is going to crack. But I'm going to do it. All right. Well, on that note, I think we're going to wrap up this episode of Girls Night. I don't know. I think that title is still a work in progress. I think it's Girls Night, but we're going to work on it some more. But Juliana, I want to thank you so much for being my first guest on this series. And hopefully we'll have you back again if you decide you want to come hang out with us and let us invade your house again.
Absolutely, I do.
Her house is just a lot cuter of an aesthetic, and her couch is very comfy, so I wanted to record here. But thank you all so much for tuning in. This is, again, season 3, and we never would have made it here without you guys' love and support. So thank you all once again for everything you do, for just being around. It's been a trip, but we will see you guys next time, and have a great one. Bye.